Hello, I just want to give you a little introduction to this 1948 Allis Chalmers B that I recently acquired. It needs a bit of work, and I want to go over it and show you some of the things that I've found that I will need to address. When I first saw this tractor, it had a pipe loader on it with a Charlene pump to run it. I actually have the loader sitting out back, but one thing you'll notice right off bat, it has some extra bracing between the front spindles, and I hadn't initially thought about it, but my brother speculated that this was something that was added because it had the loader on it and possibly to keep the axle from spreading out under load. You notice this has a magneto on it. The oil is a bit dark, but it does not look like it has any water in it. This is probably not the original starter, and I'm not saying that just because the color of the paint is different, but because it has a solenoid on it, which the original would not have had, and it's also had a key ignition switch added to it. So that's a 12-volt battery, which is fine running. Even if that was a 6-volt starter, it would be fine having a 12-volt battery to run it. I don't know if you'll be able to see in here. Probably not. It's pretty much empty and a bit rusty, so I will have to do a little bit of cleaning. Should have had a flashlight to show you, but the sheet metal is in pretty good shape. It's got some dings and bends in it, but not too bad. It has an alternator on it. It would have originally had a generator. It originally had a 6-volt system. With the magneto, this alternator and battery and all that is completely independent of the ignition anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, the air cleaner was not on it. I did get the air cleaner with it. It would have had an oil bath air cleaner sitting like right in this area here. And then the air intake would have come out through the hood here. Anyway, even though it was sitting open, the carburetor, someone has closed the choke on it, so they were thinking ahead. Oh, I don't know, that didn't focus very well. Anyway, the choke was closed, so it kept anything from crawling in there, I hope. Sediment bowl needs to be cleaned, of course, not unusual. And if you notice, in behind the carburetor, let's see if I can get a good view of it here. Probably the block has cracked at some point in time, and someone has done a neat job of bolting on a patch with a gasket behind it. I will have to see what's behind there and decide whether to try to weld it or if I can just maybe replace the gasket material and bolt the patch back on again. As you can see, it looks like that has been leaking. For the steering, this arm right here has been broken and re-welded. As long as it's solid, I probably don't need to do anything to that right away. These tires are in pretty good shape. One thing I found interesting is they have not had much run on them because the size of the tire is still molded right into the surface of one of the lugs. You notice here, because it had a loader on it, they also had wheel weights on it. This outer weight looks an awful lot like a Farmall wheel weight. Not sure. There is another weight inside. You can see it in behind there. I'm not sure if that's an Allis Chalmers weight or something else. We'll see. Doesn't really matter. If you notice right here, both sides, the way the loader frame was bolted onto the tractor, it couldn't have fenders on it, so neither of the fenders are with it. It's had a replacement seat. You can see a little bit of the label, I don't know. I think it said probably like floating seat, made by a company, I think it's pronounced Knoedler or Needler, Knoedler. They made a lot of, in fact they're still in business, but they made a lot of replacement seats or aftermarket seats for things. And this one, you can lift the seat up and then adjust different spring tension or height of the seat. It does not have the belt pulley on it. It has the smaller diameter PTO shaft, and it's had extra hitch welded and bolted to it. I'm thinking most likely because the seat sticks out far enough that, and also with the Charlene pump on it, it would have been hard to hook up anything to it. Here's the air cleaner assembly. You'll notice it does not have, it has a spot for a hydraulic pump, but it does not have a hydraulic pump. And it has one of the mounts for the hydraulic cylinder. A lot of implements used it on this side, like the plow lift would have gone right here. There would have been one on the other side. You can see it's kind of torn out of the metal there. That one would have been, I know that they made a two-way plow for this tractor, and you would have had a second hydraulic cylinder mounted there to lift the other plow. So, there's a bunch of things, but probably the most significant thing that I have to do to this tractor, and I'll try to show you here. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna try to put the crank in. So I kind of messed up the last part of the video, and so here I am a day later refilming it to show you. And I have the crank in here, as you can see, and here's the issue. This engine is stuck. I don't know how stuck it is, but it is stuck. I did take out each of the spark plugs, and I injected a mix of 50% kerosene and 50% automatic transmission fluid into each of the cylinders in hopes of starting to break down the rust and maybe get the engine freed up. All of the spark plugs looked like they had been recently running, although I know that's not the case. But maybe that's an indication that there isn't too much internal corrosion, I hope. A couple other things I wanted to point out with this tractor. This right front wheel is not an Allis Chalmers wheel. And the steering wheel is from an old Dodge, which is fine. No reason to replace it. One thing I really enjoy about old tractors and old equipment, especially ones that have seen use and modification and repairs, is each of those little adjustments and changes just tells a little bit of the story and makes it unique. So I'm going to play around with this tractor for a little bit. Of course, the number one effort will be to try to get the engine freed up, because if I can't do that, nothing else really matters. If I make progress on freeing the engine, I will try to make a video of how that goes. And until then, thanks for watching.